Womp! Evening, all you people out there in TV land. How we doing? We're gonna see how we go with sewing. More stuff today. And Stream Raiders is on a struggle bus. Because it still hasn't... Oh, it has loaded. My bad. We're up to a boss battle too. Alright, there we go. Bam. As long as I remember. That's up. Okay, cool. Right, so I think I've set up marbles correctly, but we will give that a go later. See how that turns out. Got all this other stuff running as well. That down. That open. Yeah. Sweet. Let's go. Super Cow, how are you? Right, let's do that over there. Sweetness. Alright. So, get these panels back out. What we were working on. You're awesome? Heck yeah. What are you up to today? Grandkids? And why are you awesome? What did you do? Did you get another boat? I'm doing a heck of a lot better. Just gonna move my sewing machine out of the way for a second. Put you over there. I need to de-thread all of this rubbish. There it is. And then take out all this green thread. We're making a balaclava. No funny business whatsoever. Aw, yay! What did we buy? Surprising her by picking her up from work or something? Damn, that's a big car, isn't it? Wait, she knows about it, right? It's not just like a, okay, so this is yours now. This is our new car. Surprise! Aww. Awesome. I haven't driven my husband's new car, actually. Just reminded me. Nah, it's fine. I don't mind. And she'd be like, where are we going? Are we going down the highway? Can I take it to be very fast? Sure, you can do whatever you want. Oh, I mean, you can go there too, I guess, if you want to take the mystery out of the you know, racing somebody off that doesn't even know that they're being raced against. I guess. You know, when you're like, I'm gonna beat that car that's down there at the green light to the next green light. Safely, obviously. Well, that's exciting news. Congratulations on your new car. It's nice. It's a nice feeling when you're like, you know, depending on what you've had previously, if it's been messing up or, you know, is a bit older. And you're like, this feels good to be in something that's safe, something that's reliable. and I don't have to have a big service on it anytime soon. Okay, I'm gonna do the other side. How fast can you go down the drag strip? And can you just go in there at any time and just do it, whatever? Oh, okay. Yep. Awesome. I'm sure. I wonder if they use that as a sales tactic as well. You know, like, oh, you can take it for a test drive, or you can take it for a test drag. Which would you prefer? I mean, I wouldn't have got very far in my car, seeing as I had the brake on the entire time by accident when I test drove that one. I've been like, go, and I just would have been like, sure. It's not doing anything though. Ew. Cat, what's going on? How are you? How's your dress going? Much better now that you've got some not saggy panniers? Oh no! No! How? Why? Oh, I'm sorry. Damn it. Damn it. I guess it's good that it's now and not when you have your cosplay thingy, right? I was gonna say, was it the gremlin child? But you know, I was letting you say it. It's like it didn't even go anywhere. Oh, someone from work. Oh no. Sorry. Sorry they brought that in to you. Lazy, how are you? I'm pretty good today. I'm just cleaning up the two. So I managed to go through this one the other day. Is that the right side? Yes. And so this is the texture that we created by gluing those things together, and we do still have some stretch, so I think this will work. I'm just cleaning up this one now because I basted the pieces together first and then went over it with the sewing machine. So now I'm taking all the basting out of it. So I'm pretty pleased with how that went, except I have some holes. There's some holes in the area, but that's fine. Hopefully that won't matter too much. And then we'll see how they go stuck together. I'm pretty excited about that bit. But we do have to do the other two panels as well. So we do have to do 2 more jigsaws today, unfortunately. Hey kids, hello, good morning. How are the kids? Getting into school? Or is it still holidays? What are you up to today, Lazy, as well? Looking after those kiddos? Speaking about kiddos, someone was asking me if I do actually have, like, chonkers. Oh, he's back there, but you can just see his butt. And I guess some some legs. There's a sewing machine in the way. but there is a doggo there. Very much asleep. Oh no, still got about half the pound. Oh, that's alright. All in, I mean, at least you're sick. You know, if you're sick enough not to be at work, you should probably be sleeping. But you might be okay enough to sit there and shove rhinestones on something if you felt like it. It is school time. Yeah, I knew it. But also, hey, they're not at home anymore from Easter, right? Today's a day off. Oh, it's alright. Have tomorrow off too. I lost my day off because I was ill. I will also take a day off from work. At least no, I was like, no, that I knew it came out bad. I'm sorry, Super Cow. What I meant was, if you're sick, at least you're at home, and if you felt well enough, you could do. Why is this coming apart? No. No. At least you could maybe do the things that you wanted to do. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Your body hates you when you're taking a rest day. I know. I knew it is. You stick your foot in your own mouth half the time. I definitely knew that it could be taken the other way, and I was like, no one will point it out. It's fine. So thanks, Super Cow. Nobody will think that that's stupid. Ugh, we're another week closer to Fire Duck. Yay! This one's not coming out. Rude. Okay. Alrighty. Don't forget to have your coffee. Prep yourself up for the day. Hello, Sarah. How are you? I saw you pop in the other day when we were on the BRB screen. And then when I took everybody over to Evil Ted, you were like, oh, this channel was recommended to me. And I was like, I thought I took you here, but alrighty then. Fine. But probably recommended because we all went over there, to be fair. It was like, hey, you knew a person that went in here. Yes. Ash. I mean, if you, like, you said you're eventually going to do that, right? Why not just do it now? I think it'll be funny. And then it's even more of a statement piece then, right? Because people will be like, what in the hell is going on in this tattoo? And you'll be like, oh yeah, there's a story behind that. Much like I have to do right now. It's like, that's a weird ass thing on your arm. Oh boy, is it ever. Why'd you get it? Well. Sorry, you were... No, that's totally fine. You're all good. You said that, like, it probably actually did recommend him because we went over there. So, like, in all fairness, I was just like, oh, that's funny that even happened. But But yeah, sorry we missed you when I was on the BRB screen. Apparently it was also not playing any sound either, so that's my bad. Well, exactly. Well, I have a story for you. Do you do you know of the Starlight Children's Foundation? And then if they say no, ho, even more of a story to tell you. Like, okay, excellent. Here's everything we have done for them. And then they'll still be like, what's the tattoo about? Okay. Well, I share it with somebody in Australia and several people from the US who also decided to get it. And in the UK, because Jellyfish got hers. Oh, no. Yeah, that's alright, Sarah. I'm sorry that we missed you. Anywho, how have you been, though? What is going on with you? So long in the... I know, yeah, but it looks so beautiful. Honestly, it's gorgeous work, though, so... I feel like if you want to take the time to do something, like, that's time well spent. Because it's gorgeous. Yes, I know. Well, she did that to herself too. Because it's all an OC. She doesn't have to do that. So, you know, this is all kind of on her. But it will look really, 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 really good. So I don't blame her for being a masochist. We only blame masochism if they're like, oh my god, I hate this so much. And then you'll be like, but you did it to yourself. Why am I like that? I know, exactly. Well, and it is true. Every person, every crafty, I mean, cosplayer, yes, for sure. I'm not sure about general craftiness, though. Maybe. That they're all like, you know what? I want to learn this really big, dumb way of doing this thing. Because, why not? Oh my gosh, I still have to do my 3D modeling. Oh. Somebody remind me to do my 3D modeling because I've decided to go and do sewing instead of finishing what I should be finishing. My bad. Make note. 3D modeling. Yeah, but I guess, like, most people who decided to do Twitch stuff during COVID and whatnot, I think a lot of them were just like, you know what, I just decided that I really like this craft and wanted to go and do it. So I just did it. So yes, we're all masochist. We're all like, hell yeah. This will be for my Zandalari troll, my Princess Talanji. So the picture that's there. Currently, this is the headwear for it. So underneath her big weird headdress, she's got this like really textured, pebbly, like kind of like a balaclava type situation going on. And I wanted to make it kind of a quilted effect. I need to put them together first though, and probably iron this again to see if it will work. So we could do all of this work for literally nothing. But that's okay. We have got a lot of time. And even, like, if I can't make it this year, then, you know, it can be a next year thing. I'm not in a hurry anymore to just put stuff out there now. I'm okay with taking the time if I can. Although I'd like to do a lot quicker things, but yeah. Oh, if I had my little, I don't have it here, but I had a little mock-up that we did over my head. So basically, my face is free, but the neck and the head area is covered, so, which is great because I don't have to do a wig. Yeah, I know. I think everybody feels like they work way too slow. I was just like thinking, you know, I do all this work. I push stuff out really quickly. Sometimes, you know, I'm not entirely okay with it, and it takes me more than one try on a lot of things to get them correct the way that I want them to look. And usually that's after I've already pushed it out and gone, this is my new cosplay, or costume, or piece, or whatever. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, cool. But it's not like, oh, that's amazing, or anything like that, because it's not quite where I want it to be. And then, you know, it takes the next round, and I'm like, oh, that's what I wanted it to look like. And then I get it, and I'm like, huh, why didn't I just do this the first time around, you know? Like, why is this not even, what is going on? Some of this thread is just coming out, and I haven't cut it. That's odd. When you more visible you craft your costumes, yeah. And that's like another thing too, is it's getting the balance of, oh, look at this raw foam that everyone's like, I can't really see what your aim is, to this is the finished product, you know? I think it's good if you have a series, like a multiple layer of it, maybe, and then you can kind of have the finished product and then like the works after that. I don't know. Right now I'm just putting up works in progress anyway. Alright, so some of our thread popped off. Don't know why. There. There, so we still need to sew back down that way. It's really dumb because this is the one that I wanted to come off because I accidentally, there's an auto button on my sewing machine that I didn't know about until today, and I'm glad I didn't stream it because boy oh boy, it went really fast, and I was like, oh, this is how people run over their hands. Yep. I thought I hit the reverse button because I was trying to go over it so that it wouldn't pop off. But yep, I hit it's like there's a play and a pause button. And I had to turn my sewing machine off because I was like, ah, because it just fed everything all the way through. It scared me. So I turned it off hard, like I did a hard reset. Alright, here is also coming off. Skipped some stitches. Yeah, so I just ate my fabric, and then I was like, what in the world? And then I thought, How is this a feature of a sewing machine? Like, who wants to sew that quickly and automatically? I don't get it. I don't even know if quilters would do that. I think this is also needing. Yep. I don't know, man. You like it was so fast. I would demonstrate it for you, but I also don't want to do it again because I don't know how to stop it. And also, you're kind of in a top-down situation, so it's not like you can see it anyway, except for my very surprised Pikachu face of being like, why is it doing that? And thankfully it was also on the edge, like it was here. This one line that I didn't actually need. I only needed to go from this spot to this spot. And then it just kept going, and I was like, what do I do? So I have to put another line on the other piece as well, so that it matches. So while I'm talking about that, I should do that now, actually. There. Zoom. Honestly, it was a scary time. It's like I already dislike having to use the damn thing. My next question for you fine folks as well, while we're here and speaking about it, I do have to iron over this again to like flatten everything out into its little seams and stuff. Because I've done it to this one. I have ironed over this one. And it has kind of made it like a nice, you know, nice into its spots and things. My next question is, do we airbrush in these grooves? Or do we think this is enough of a subtle hint to say, yes, like, there is textures there. I don't want to go overboard with using airbrushing stuff. Like, I don't want it to look dirty, but yeah. It's also very it's scary that we're putting our beautiful white fabric onto a tape. I should have laid this with something first. Beautiful white fabric onto a table that we use leather dyes on. You were assuming I was gonna airbrush? Okay. I better with a little bit of paint. Yeah, so we'll have to put some fabric, medium into it, so that it will stay. Because, Kat, I was thinking, and everyone, I was already thinking, yes, I'm gonna airbrush it, and then I was like, am I too airbrush happy? Like, is it necessary? Not all the time. Does it look good? Yes, it does. So I don't want, because I want this to be a competition piece too. I don't want it to be like, damn, you know what you should have held back on? Airbrushing everything. And I'd be like, oh my god, we had this talk in Twitch. I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have done it. Okay, so our thingy's ready. Huzzah! weird. Why is that not working now? I don't know. Alright, stream redders. Let's go. Just hand paint it. Yeah, but you know, we all know from my use of the damn airbrush, we know it's a pain in the butt anyway, so using hand painting stuff, totally fine. I could do that too. Hey Ulrich, how are you? Airbrush all of the things. I mean, yes. I just wanted to refrain in case we were maybe going overboard. Much like I held great refrain and nothing, and it didn't work out for me when I did my weathering of this thing. I decided to I was literally on Discord and I was talking to Mark about how I was gonna weather this, and I was like, do you think black over white is really stark? And he's like, do you have a test piece? And I was already applying it to this because I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work out. And I'd already done it, so. And then I sent a photo. I was like, never mind, I already did it. Don't worry about it. And he's like, hey, that looks good. I'm like, thank God. We do have to do the other piece though today, and we do have to. We've got bits to like stamp in this thing today as well if we get around to it. I know people. I was like, I have nothing painted white, and I don't have the time or the patience right now to just like paint it white and then wait for that to dry to then put the resist top coat on. And then wait for that to dry, and then mess around with putting the antique on. Who has time for that? I'm awful. What's the white? Oh, it's leather. It's all leather except for the Hold up. Let me just get this battle done. Because I forgot the other day and I feel really bad about it. Bam. Let's move my sewing machine out of the way. Who needs a sewing machine? It's all leather except for the spiky boys. And I still obviously have to paint this bit and put other pieces on. But yeah. Thank you, horn bits, correct. And then we've got the Chicago screws in there so we can still move our hand around. But yeah, everything leather. And also, like, it makes more sense to me that she has leather pieces as well. I know we could have made it out of foam and it would totally have been fine. But it makes more sense to me to make it out of leather. I had the stuff and she feels like she would have actual leather pieces anyway. That's the story I'm sticking with, and I'm telling that to the judges, so shut up everybody else who thinks otherwise. But yes, you could have used foam. Should have just used foam. But I'm extra, alright? I need to figure out what is best not to crack and flake. Oh, well then you weren't like my answer to your question, which would be, what did you use to make that white? And that would be airbrush paints. Like literally Valio airbrush paints. But we do have Seal and Shine, and I haven't had that flake on me, even though I've had a mobile phone case that I've had with that, so yes. But I believe who was it? B had paints. No, well, yeah, paints. What are they called? Orion, I think. And that's what she was using for white. And her white came out pretty good. So I think it was a rhyme, something like that. Do you know what? I just like, because I recently bought this sewing machine. The thing I love about it the most is that there's a little itty bitty cutter on the side. For threads. And I've never had that, and I love it so much. And also it's an auto threader, which I also love. It's the little things. Doing a, oh, okay. And, oh, okay. Are the Angelus paints thin enough for that? No. No, I'm cheap and I've never, like, the other machines that I've had, one was given to me and one I bought for 20 bucks. The $20 one was one from, like, Marketplace, and the woman was, like, upgrading, and it didn't do any special things. It was just, like, straight, and that was it. And then the lady from work who gave me hers was like another, like $100 machine. Didn't have it. I'm like, okay. Oh, thin. Yep. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. By thinning it down? I wonder what you use to thin it down with, though. Also, it knots as well. Oh, it didn't do it that time. Interesting. Why do the bowmen have the issue? Alcohol. Yeah, true. I mean, I haven't researched, so I don't actually know. The gold I used is Lumiere's, though. Just because it's beautiful. And I like it. And it's the nice goldy gold. And I can't get that through my airbrush, that's for sure. You beast. You little... Why is it skipping the red? That's okay. It's probably because it's nearly out of... Oh yes, that is why it is nearly out of thread. That could be it. Maybe tension? Let's see. Rolled with the streaks. Oh, really? Easy to get streaks. See, if it was silver, I would have used my SMS chrome and probably airbrush that, because that stuff is really nice to airbrush with. We did try to use the SMS gold, but it didn't do anything. It was pretty poor. Yes, we were down to like not a lot. But that gold does go, the Lumiere gold does go on very nicely painted. So I'm okay with that. Oh, also, alright, thanks for suggesting that Izzy would be after um, place to stay for PAX 2. Got them covered. My most favorite part of using a sewing machine, just putting thread on a bobbin. As long as it's going on correctly, though, that could be a problem later. Okay. Oh yeah, because you start feeling really bad or like drowsy. No, no wonky bobbins. Shh. Only blessed good boy bobbins, thank you. Let's try a 3.5 and see if that'll work better. They wear off. Yeah, I know. Sorry, cat. It's pretty poopy. Bad that your workmate brought something in as well. My workmate, oh my god. The other day, yeah, yesterday, the other day. Literally yesterday. He'd been walking around, coming over to us, talking to us, went out, had some food, came back, so like he'd been working for I think 5 hours, and then suddenly came back and had a mask on, and we're all like, what's up with the mask, dude? And he was like, yeah, I think I've got COVID again. And we're like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna wait for my result to come back to see if, oh, it's gone. What the heck? To see if I've got it again. And then, like, if I have to go home. And we're like, what? It's like, yeah, I don't know, it's just something in the air. It just made me feel kind of not right. And I'm, oh my god. Then he was at work today. His result came back negative. But he was at work today. Like, so I guess you don't feel bad, huh? It's like, nah, it must have just been like the curry that I had. My dude. They work in a hospital and they're all bloody hypochondriacs. Okay, that's better. That's not coming loose. Yay! 12 variations of really? Wow, that's insane. Apparently, so like, there was a resurgence over the weekend. We did. So on average, we've been not doing many tests. We've only been doing like maybe 10 a day, maybe. They did 60 over the weekend because it's been a week since Easter and everybody's freaking out because they've got it. And it's like, oh my god, can we just not keep going through this cycle, please? Now it's COVID. Ugh, honestly. And also, like, being stuck in another place with, you know, not the same healthcare. Like, you better have some insurance. Some travel insurance. for that stuff. Get off. There we go. Oh my god, what if I told you that that just skipped a whole bunch too? What is... why? You went through all of this other ones fine, and now you're having a problem? Yerp. Good. Insurance up. Don't get caught out overseas. One of my other workmates went on a... Ugh, bugger you. Are you just gonna make holes in my fabric for no reason? Everything was perfect. Yeah, one of my other workmates went on a cruise to Hawaii and then had to stay the entire time inside his cabin because he got sick. And we were like, oh my god, you doofus. Oh, look! I was speaking about you. How you going, Nika? So don't get stuck. Oh, honestly. What do you might pick up? Yeah, exactly. Do they have the anti-viral stuff over there? I don't know. But, you know, I'm sure we're saying all these things, but I'm sure it'll be totally fine anyway. You know, but it is good to be vigilant and prepared. Oh, yeah, no, I was just saying to Ulrich that it was good that he suggested that you guys might need somewhere for PAX. Because I was like, who do I find? That I also trust. I won't steal my stuff. Oh, good, okay. It was perfect timing then. No, it's only because Hiissssss was like, are we gonna get on top of this? And I was like, yeah, I know, I have to look soon. And I'd already had been looking and thinking about the entry to PAX and making sure that, far out. It skipped again. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, the entry to PAX and like being close and all that sort of stuff. Okay, it can't be the stitches. I just changed all the lengths. I don't know what this does. Oh, that's just where the needle sits. Pawn everything off for merch, honestly. Well, and I was also like, how do I get this to be really cheap as well? Because I don't want to spend stupid amounts of money on accommodation. I don't mind sharing with a bunch of people. I've done it before. They may mind sharing with me. if they're not cosplayers. If they're not cosplayers, they will mind because I'm like, all right, so I need 3 hours to put my face on, and I need the bathroom. Is that cool? I mean, I think this one has 2 bathrooms. I would use my room otherwise, but yeah, it's just like explaining to somebody. I'm gonna be wild. Sorry. King bed, you're like, yay, full size. Oh. Well, my husband isn't coming. Well, as far as I know, he's not coming down. If he does, it will change. It will change the price of the room and whatnot. But yeah, he's not coming down. So it's just like, it's me. Where do I go? How like, help me. Let's change our tension. And now we're going to screw things up because I don't really know what each of these thingies do. There used to be a suggested guide, I think, in my... It's not that. My instruction book, but I don't think I have that anymore, or at least not here. Money in this economy, I know, right? Test on scrap. Wow. I mean, do I have any said stuff? Oh, not of the stretch. Not of the stretchy boy. That's alright. I'll try a different area so I'm not constantly making holes in the same spot. It did every, like, this is my confusion on sewing something. It goes fine for 30% of it, and then you try and finish it, and it's like, nope. And then you're like, why? Sorry, skip again. Why do you like this machine? I visualize that skip. Oh, no, wait, no, we're okay. It's fine. Guys, don't worry about it. We whinge for nothing. Your bin, well, my bin was full of scrap. However, I just cleaned it out because I was like, no, I'm streaming. I need some space to walk around in so that I'm not tripping over everything. And yeah, it's not in here. So I still gotta buy tickets for PAX though. It's missing stitches. It's not looping on the underside. It's just missing stitches. It just keeps going. Bloop. What? Buying tickets? Nah. That's for future me to worry about, maybe. The early birds stopped though. That's not good. Might not be threaded properly. Well, fiddlesticks. Oh wait, it's fine. Okay, maybe we knocked it back into place. Maybe we gently bullied it enough that it is now going to be okay. I mean, It's gonna be okay for a little bit, and then it's gonna do it again, and then I'll be raging at it again. Watch this space. Magically fix. I don't get it. Why? That's so silly. I mean, I've had to rethread the top thread a couple of times too. And then it's like, oh yeah, that's all I needed, thank you. And you're like, okay, cool. When we, oh, okay, you got it that day. All right, fine. Okay, I guess. Well, guys, I also bought the Ashton beret at the same time. So it was that or PAX tickets, and oh, I don't know, I think I made the right choice in the moment. Plus, crying on the floor had already been working on it, and I was like, yeah, I already was giving you the money. Great. Good. That's all you needed. You're a great machine. Everyone should buy the